scholars, so I hear you need some homework help, so I'm going to try to quickly give you some homework help. So, I'm going to do 2 problems from the homework tonight. I'm going to do number 1, or one of the problems from number 1, and then number 3. So the first problem from number 1, or one of the problems from number 1, I think it's actually the last one. It says 1/2 to the 5th power. And then at the top it says it wants it in exponential form, expanded form, and standard form. So I'm just going to quickly lead you through actually how to solve this. So exponential form, we can look at this, it's already done for you. We could recognize that this 1/2 is going to be your base, and this 5 is our exponent. Some people also refer to the exponent as the index, but like thinking about the math vocabulary we've been talking about. So the way our base and our exponent or index work together is our exponent tells us how many times to repeatedly multiply our base by itself. So in this case scenario, our exponent is 5, so it's telling us to multiply 1/2 by itself 5 times. And that's what we're going to write in our expanded form. Expanded form just means you're kind of stretching this number out. So we're going to do 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Again, it is 1/2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and we're multiplying because exponents essentially are a repeated multiplication. Another thing I want you guys to think about are these are 3 different forms. So that means that this number 1/2 to the 5th power is actually equivalent to 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. They're all equivalent to each other. They're just different ways of representing the numbers. They're different formats. All right, so then next we're going to talk about standard form. So believe it or not, standard form is just like if we were to, like this is expanded form, if we were to simplify both of these numbers, what answer would we get? That would be our standard form. So the way we're going to actually do that calculation is I'm just going to solve this by multiplying it. So you can multiply it in a calculator. I just think it's simple just to do the math right now. So I'm going to multiply all the denominators out and then multiply all the numerators out. So actually I'll do numerators first. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, because 1 times itself is always 1, even if you multiply 1 times itself 5 times. Next, we've got to do 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So that's going to be our denominator, 32. And I'm going to write that out just so you can see. So what I just did was I did 2 times 2, which got me 4. Then I took the answer 4 and I multiplied that times 2 and got the 8. So that's so far 1, 2, 3 2's. Then I took the 8 and I multiplied it times 2, which got me 16. So if you count, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 2's. Then I'm going to take the 16 and I'm going to multiply that by 2 again, and then that's going to get me to 32. So then you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2's that are being multiplied by each other. And each time I just took the answer and multiplied it by an additional 2. All right, so that's how you do number 1. Hopefully that helps the people who have been struggling. Now let's look at number 3, and I have a copy of it because someone's been texting me. No names are going to be dropped, but let's read it. So it says for number 3, the power of 2 that, I can't read it via the, there we go. The power of 2 that are in range 2 through 1,000 are 2, 4, 8. And we just saw those. We saw 2, then we saw 4, then we got 8. Actually, if I just made it this way, it's 2 equals to 2. You could kind of see it a little bit better. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. I'm just going to do this. Another way you can look at this is the same thing as just 2. This is the same thing as 2 times 2. This is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. And this is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And this is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Because we took like that number 16, which was equal to 4 2's, and we just multiplied it times 2. That's what we did here to get the 32. But 32 is the same thing as 2 to the 5th power, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Blah, blah, blah. You got it. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to read this and take this off my lap so I can see it. Okay, the power 2 that are in range 2 through 1,000 are 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and 512. The reason why they stopped there is because if they went to the next power 2 up, the number would have been greater than 1,000. And they're talking about standard for the solution, okay? So find all the powers of 3 that are in range of 3 through 1,000. So I'm going to show you how to do this. All right, so let's look right at our 3's. So let's similarly just say 3, that's 3, right? Then 3 times 3, that's equal to 9, right? So then we could do 3 times 3 times 3. And I'm gonna replace this 3, or think about this 3 times 3 right here as 9. So what's 9 times 3? That's 27. So 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So 3 3's is 27. So then I'm gonna write 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, or 4 3's. I know 3 of them are worth 27. So then we just gotta figure out what is 27 times 3. And you know, at this point, you may know this by heart or you may not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically know that this part is worth 27. So I have to multiply this 3 times 27. So I'm just going to do that right here. So 27 times 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. So it's going to be 81. All right. So we know 4 3's are worth 81. So now we're going to write 5. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And we know 4 of them are worth 81 because we just did that math. So now we're taking the 81 and we're multiplying it times 3. 81 times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 8 is 24. So it's going to be 243. Again, so now we're going to keep going. So we got 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know 5 of them is worth 243. So we're going to just multiply 243 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. So we're going to get 729. I'm guessing the next number is going to be too big and it's going to be more than 1,000, but let's do it anyway just to be safe. So we got 6 3's here. Let's go to 7 3's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to take the 729 and multiply it times 3. 27, 6, 7, 8, 21. See, that's 2,187. So this next one is just too big, so we're going to cross it out. So we know that these are the 3's that fit within 1,000. And I'm just going to write these in exponential notation just so you have that practice. So this one is just simply 3 to the first power. This one is 3 to the second power, 3 squared. This one is 3 to the third power, 3 cubed. This one was 3 to the fourth power, and you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we know it is. This one's 3 to the fifth power. This one's 3 to the sixth power. So 3 to 6th power was the largest exponent we could have and have a standard number under 3. Hopefully that was helpful. Good luck with your homework tonight. Bye.